Hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar. My name is McKay Allen. I'm the Vice President of Marketing at Conversa. Thanks for joining us today. At an early hour, we generally do these at 2 Eastern or 1 Eastern, so noon Eastern's early for us, but it's awesome. I think it's a great thing to change it up. So I'm in Salt Lake City, where it's 10 o'clock in the morning and foggy and snowy and just generally awful outside. Phil is in New York City, where he says it is warmer than normal and wonderful. So that's fantastic, Phil. We're glad for you. So welcome to the webinar today. We're going to talk about some of the trends in digital marketing that we expect to see in 2016. We're excited to have Phil Frost with Main Street ROI with us. He's done multiple webinars with us, and so we really appreciate him joining us. A few quick house cleaning items before we turn it over to Phil. Number one, just so you have some context as to who Conversa is and why we do these webinars. We changed our name last year from Log My Calls to Conversa. Some of you may remember that. Basically what we do is we do marketing analytics for phone calls. So we essentially do three things. Number one, we tell you which ads, campaigns, and keywords generate phone calls. Number two is we do deep conversation analysis, so we can actually tell you what happened on phone calls. We give you a lead score for phone calls. We tell you whether or not calls converted to sales, etc. And then we do marketing automation for phone calls. We can send emails, chats, alerts, etc., CRM changes, alerts, things like that, based on the words and phrases said on the call. So it's a very unique tool in that respect, and a lot of marketers, small and large, use us. And so we're excited to be hosting this webinar. And the reason we host webinars like this is because it allows us to partner with some really great companies and some really great people like Phil and Main Street ROI. And so you'll notice we do a lot of these webinars. We did one yesterday with Fred Valles, who is one of the founders of Google. He was one of the first employees at Google, helped develop the Google AdWords whole interface and usability functionality. And today we've got Phil Frost with Main Street ROI, as I said. Two things: the webinar is being recorded. We'll make sure to send that recording out to you. You can also find it on our website probably tomorrow. If you go to resources right up here, and then just down here to webinars, we generally post those on our site day of or day after. And then secondly, we will take questions during the webinar, and as soon as Phil's done with his presentation, we'll go through those questions. So just so we have a good sense as to, just so you know where the questions are, go to the question area and type in where you're calling in from today. Just type in where you're calling in from today, and the city, state, etc., where you're calling in from, just so we have a sense as to where you're from, and then you have a sense as to where the question area is. All right, so we have New York, British Columbia, Philly, Virginia, Maryland, Boston, Louisville, Maryland again, St. Louis, Atlanta, Birmingham, Chicago, Michigan, New Hampshire. Okay, Robin, where in New Hampshire? I like New Hampshire a lot. Quantico, Virginia, Wisconsin, Kennewick, Washington. I've flown out of that airport many times, Chris. Many times have I flown in and out of the Tri-Cities airport. We've got a local person for me in Ogden, Utah. Which company are you with, Chase? Why don't you type that in? Arlington, Texas, home of Jerry World. Fargo. Okay, you're in Milford, Robin. All right. Chase is with AdRoll. All right, Chase, do they have an office in Ogden, or you work remotely? I'm just curious. Texas, Rochester, New York, West Palm Beach. Good stuff. We're all over the map. That's great. Good crowd today. So we're really excited to have everybody here. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Phil Frost. Phil, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate it very much. Phil's done a lot of webinars with us and has done just a great job every time. So we keep inviting him back, and we're lucky that he keeps saying yes. So Phil, thanks, sir. I'm going to make you presenter, and go ahead whenever you're ready.
All right, thank you, McKay. I appreciate that intro. Let me show my screen. You can see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
All right, and welcome everyone from around the country. I think it was all US based here. All right. All right, so again, my name is Phil Frost. I want to thank Conversa, especially McKay, for having me on. As he mentioned, We've done several of these webinars and love doing them with his audience. And today we're going to be talking about the top 10 digital marketing trends for 2016. And McKay already did the housekeeping, so you know where the Q&A section is. You can feel free to type in your questions, and always recommend you turn off distractions. I do the do not disturb on my phone, turn off the cell phone, shut down from email. That way you don't have to go back and watch this recording many times. You can just get the most out of it in this this first run through. All right, here's what we're going to cover. Obviously, we're going to talk about the top 10 trends you need to know about. That's why you're here. I'll also touch on what you need to do based on these trends. It's one thing to know what the trend is, but it's another thing to know what you should actually be doing about it. I do have a nice gift for everyone who has attended. And then McKay mentioned we will do live Q&A at the end. All right, so if this is the first webinar you've attended, you're probably wondering, who am I? Why should you even listen to me? As McKay said, I am the founder of Main Street ROI. Our business provides digital marketing services as well as training, primarily to small local businesses. To date, we've helped over 2,000 businesses with our services and training. And my thought leadership in this industry has been featured in top media sites like Forbes, Inc., Amex, and Mashable. And I'm also the very proud father of those two cute kids. That's Emmett there. He just turned 9 months on the 2nd of January. And Violet's a little blurry in this picture. She is now a old 3-year-old. And that's my wife, Erin. And we live in the Upper West Side of New York City. And as McKay said, it has been unseasonably warm. I'm not complaining, except it was about 70 degrees for Christmas. I will complain about that, because I like a white, wintry Christmas. But hopefully it stays warm for the rest of the season here. All right, here's the top 10 trends for 2016. We will start with number 1, the fact that your customers are mobile. And I don't think that's a surprise for too many folks on the line. But here's what is happening. More and more of your customers are now using mobile devices to research and shop online. So that is critically important for digital marketing. It's no longer enough to think about people just going to your website from a desktop computer, which not too long ago, that's really all you had to worry about. Now you have to worry about all these other devices like mobile and tablets. And the reality is when people do come to your site on their mobile device and it's not optimized for mobile or what's called mobile friendly, you are absolutely going to lose leads and sales. I just know personally, I get extremely frustrated when I go to a site that's not optimized for the mobile screen. It's just nearly impossible to click on the links to try to complete forms that are really, really small. So that's just a critical trend. It's nothing new, but it is going to continue to become more and more of an issue as more people adopt surfing on their mobile phones. So what do you need to do about it? I highly recommend, if you have not already, you want to make your website responsive. And that just means that when someone comes to your site on a particular device, your website needs to display correctly for that screen. And again, not too long ago that you didn't have to worry about that, and you just had a desktop website. Now your website needs to basically adapt to the device that's accessing the site. Now also, when you're designing marketing campaigns, like an ad campaign or an email marketing campaign, you have to take into account all the different devices like mobile, tablet, and desktop. And what does that mean? It likely means that you need to have different sales paths for each device. And by that I mean if you're driving leads on your site and someone is on their mobile phone, you can consider using what's called click to call. You can have a nice big button and all the person has to do is click on that button. It loads the number on their mobile phone and then they can call you. That's a great way to drive leads and phone calls on mobile devices versus desktop, you would obviously, you can't just click to call. The person has to pick up the phone and actually call. So it's a little bit different path for each device. Likewise, a different call to action per device. Same example, on a desktop, you would have, call this phone number or complete this form, whereas on a mobile device, you could literally just have that button, click here to call us now. And then another topic that will be repeated throughout this is tracking campaigns across different devices is critically important. And this is something that a lot of the ad networks are working really hard to get better tracking in place, and you just need to be aware that it is an issue, and if somebody comes to your site on a mobile device, learns about you, and then later on goes on their desktop computer and calls you or completes a web form, that presents some issues tracking across those different devices. So trend number 2 is that Google is actually going mobile, and by that I mean more and more searches are on mobile devices, and in some industries, mobile search is actually cannibalizing desktop search. So whereas you might be getting a couple of years ago 2,000 searches for one of your relevant keywords, you'll see that number go down on desktop and going up on mobile devices. So it's becoming more and more important to optimize your website for mobile devices, and unfortunately less important for desktops, and that is dependent on which industry and obviously which keywords, but in a lot of industries, mobile search is really spiking up, and desktops are actually losing a lot of searches. So you need to take that into account when you're working on your search engine optimization campaigns. And the other thing you need to be aware of is that Google now uses mobile-friendly signals. And you probably saw in the media they coined the phrase "mobile-geddon," and that was when mobile released this big update where they were going to take into account these mobile-friendly signals. And basically, if you didn't have a mobile-friendly or mobile-optimized website, you're going to lose rankings or struggle to get ranked high in Google's search results. So what are those signals? Google's now taking into account mobile usability. So how easy is it to navigate your site and use your site on a mobile device? Likewise, page layout. So does it actually render or load correctly in the mobile screen? And then obviously page load speed is a critical signal that Google's looking at. Nobody wants to click on a search result and then wait even 2-3 seconds for the page to load. You're just going to click back, click on a different link. So page load speed is critically important. And I'll tell you in just a minute one of the new trends that you should talk to your developers about. So what do you need to do about it? You want to first, I highly recommend everyone go and test your website. So Google has a free tool at google.com/webmasters/tools/mobile-friendly, or you can just go to Google and type in mobile-friendly test, and that should be the first result, or mobile-friendly tool. And you'll want to just put your URL into that tool, and Google will tell you if in fact you have a mobile-friendly or mobile-optimized page, or they might say that you have some issues, and they actually give some helpful tips on what you should do about those issues to resolve them. Now, I just mentioned there is a new trend with what's called AMP, and that stands for Accelerated Mobile Pages. And I just mentioned how important it is to have really fast loading pages, and that's really across the board with all devices, desktop. It affects desktop SEO as well as mobile. But Google has emphasized this quite a bit in the recent months in terms of how much they're pushing for this accelerated mobile pages, which is just basically, you can think of it like a light version of HTML. I'm not going to go into too much detail here. If you are interested in learning more about AMP, I highly recommend you tell your developer to get up to speed on this, because I do see this playing a big role in mobile SEO, because you do want to have a really fast loading page. Google's just going to not want to rank your page if it takes a while for that to load, just because they know that's giving their users a pretty bad experience having to wait around for pages. Okay, trend number 3 is that ads will be more personal. So what does that mean? Well, if you're familiar with advertising, lately there's been a lot of improvements in the way that you can actually target your ideal customers, and you can do a lot of cool things. And a lot of different ad networks are rolling this out. In particular, Google AdWords and Facebook are basically leading the charge in terms of how laser focused you can get with your targeting. And you can, this is nothing new really, pages that people have visited on your website, that's called retargeting. But you can now really layer on all of these different factors like retargeting. You can actually import into the ad network email addresses in, let's say, your CRM database. So if you have a database of customers and prospects, you can then upload those into Facebook to create a custom audience, and you could then laser target your ads just to a particular segment of your email database. Let's say you have a segment of people who have received a proposal but have not yet purchased. Those would be, what I would call a hot prospect. You could then start advertising to those folks to continue to encourage them and push them over the line. If you have email addresses of actual customers, you can upload those into, again, Facebook. You can even do this in AdWords, create a custom audience, and then do what's called a lookalike audience. And those ad networks will analyze who's on your list and then go out and find similar folks who have the same characteristics. That's a really cool feature in these ad networks, and it's much more powerful, and you have much more control of your advertising when you can actually laser focus on people who have visited your website, or people that are in your email database, or people who look just like your ideal customers. Ultimately, better targeting equals higher ROI. Everyone should know that in terms of advertising. It really comes down to targeting your ideal customers, and that's what you can now do with these tools in the ad networks. So what do you need to do? If you haven't already, highly recommend you add retargeting to your website. I recommend you start with AdWords and Facebook. I know we have somebody on the line from AdRoll. I will give them a plug as well if you want another tool that's pretty straightforward to use. There's a lot of retargeting networks specifically just for retargeting, whereas AdWords and Facebook allow you to do other types of advertising, but AdRoll would be another tool that you could add into the mix, and you could just add the retargeting pixels to your site. It's completely free to create the audiences, so that's why I highly recommend everyone do that. It really costs nothing to go create an account on AdWords and Facebook, and then take the retargeting pixels, put those on your site, and then every time someone visits your site, they will be in your audience pool. And let's say come February, if you put the pixels on today, you might have an audience of, say, 500 or 5,000 or 50,000, however many visitors you get to your site. And now you have a nice list of prospects that you can then target with your advertising. And then again, I'm going to repeat this in a lot of these trends, but I highly recommend that you start testing with what I'm calling your hot prospects. And that's really, think about who has almost purchased but has not yet. I mentioned somebody that might have received a proposal. Let's say on your site, someone can request a demo. They request a demo but have not yet actually purchased your product. Then that would be someone I would call a hot prospect versus just any visitor to your homepage. That's not really a hot prospect. So I would start with the hot prospects who has come really close to purchasing but has not yet purchased. So figure out who those folks are, whether that's a particular page on your site, maybe it's a form that they have to complete, or as mentioned earlier, they might be in your email database or your CRM system, and you can upload those folks into AdWords or Facebook to create that custom audience, and then laser target your ads to those guys. In addition to being more personal, ads will be more social in 2016. Sites like Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, they all have what's called native advertising options. And these are ads that look just like organic posts. And I'm sure probably, I would say just about everyone on the line uses Facebook. Even my mom uses Facebook. And you've probably clicked on some ads that you thought were posts and those are really those native ads. They look just like a regular Facebook post in your newsfeed, and the only difference is there is a business behind that actually paying for that post to show up in your newsfeed. And the advertising, the targeting options are really improving quickly. I tested Facebook ads like right when they started, and I was not very impressed. It wasn't a great network. It was pretty bad interface, but they have improved it greatly. And there's just a lot you can do with targeting in terms of if you know the demographics of your ideal customer, you know where they're located geographically, if you know what they're interested in, you can actually target based on interests, and that's what's called behavioral targeting. And the way that works is, let's say I go online and I'm a fan of football, so I might go to ESPN.com and take a look at how some of the teams played over the weekend, and I might go and read the news and just read up on different articles about, let's say, the NFL. Over time, because of my browsing behavior and because I'm reading about football and sports, it becomes apparent that I'm interested in football and I'm a sports enthusiast. And that's how these ad networks can categorize different people online, and it's all anonymous. There's no personal identifying information, but it allows advertisers like us to then target people who are interested in different types of things. And that's what a lot of these social networking sites allow you to get that kind of targeting with those interests. We already mentioned retargeting. We already mentioned the CRM imports. You can import your email database, and then from all of that, you can create lookalike audiences that look just like your ideal customers. So what do you need to do about this? First, I would highly recommend everyone, if you're already advertising, but you're not advertising on social media sites, I would first identify which social media sites make sense for your business. So where are your ideal customers hanging out? I'll give you a hint. Nearly everyone uses Facebook, so that is a good place to start. It's one of the largest networks. And then I'll just remind everyone, because I get this question a lot, Facebook does work for B2B, so business to business. It's not just for B2C, business to consumer businesses. You can, again, you can target based on employment actually in Facebook. That's one of the options. I already mentioned interests, and one of the biggest features and biggest trend is just being able to import your email database and then have Facebook create that lookalike audience based on your ideal folks. And again, I would recommend if you're just getting started that I would start by testing your hot prospects first. So people who have gotten close to making a purchase but have not yet, or actually targeting customers that are in your database and trying to get repeat purchases. That's a great tactic if you sell something that people need to buy maybe every quarter or every year. You can set up campaigns to trigger those repeat purchases. All right, next is more video ads. I promise that this is not just going to be about advertising, but this is a big trend that you'll be surprised you can actually get video ads done relatively cheaply. I'll show you that in just a minute. But in terms of facts and why you should consider video advertising, YouTube has over 1 billion users that watch hundreds of millions of hours per day. It's growing every day. Just an enormous audience that you can reach by targeting YouTube. Likewise, Facebook is an enormous audience that you can target, and they just introduced video ads in 2015, and that's just another outlet so you could test some ads maybe on YouTube. If that's working well, you can actually expand now into Facebook, and you can use the same targeting that I mentioned before. And what's really nice is that there's actually low-cost options out there to create videos. Unfortunately, if you want a really well-produced video where you're going to be on screen and your employees are going to be on screen, that's going to be somewhat of a substantial investment. I've seen those videos in the neighborhood of $800 to $1,000 to $1,500, kind of on the low end for a short video ad like that. But you can actually get animated videos, so it's not going to be you on screen. You've probably seen these before. They're more fun and entertaining type video. You can get those done for about $350. I've literally done it for cheaper, but recently that's the price that I had to pay, and I just went to a site like freelancer.com, posted a project, and was able to get somebody that was just really good at creating animated videos. And what you do is you just need to create an audio script. If you don't want to do that, you just need to pay someone to do a voiceover. But if you can sit down and record yourself, you can record an audio script, give that to somebody who can create a video, and they'll create that animated video with your voiceover layered on top of it. They'll put some music in it, and that's actually a nice professional animated video ad that you can get done for only about $350. All right, so what do you need to do? Obviously, you have to create a video. What you would want to, in terms of the format of that video, highly recommend you start it off with a compelling statement about the problem that you solve. You want to try to agitate that problem. Then you would want to transition into explaining how your product or service solves that problem. And then you obviously want to end with a clear call to action. And with video ads on YouTube, you can have basically areas of the video that your prospect would click, and from there they would go to a landing page. So that's it's pretty powerful in terms of direct response. A lot of people don't think of video ads, and they really think of it more like TV and more like branding, but you can actually do direct response advertising using YouTube as long as you do give a clear call to action and you have an area of the video that you ask people to click on. So you can actually show in the video a nice big button to click here to start your demo, click here to call, click here to schedule an appointment, whatever it is you're trying to do, get them to click. That shoots them over to your website where you can actually convert. And again, we've talked a lot about the different types of targeting, so you'd want to start by testing this. What I've found works really well is retargeting. So you can, let's say people make it to your site. Again, let's say they request a demo but don't actually make a purchase. You can then retarget them with video ads to bring them back to your site and actually complete that purchase. All right, trend number 6 is social commerce. You've probably heard about this in the media. It's pretty popular. And what's going on is that social media sites, in particular Twitter and Facebook, are introducing buy buttons. And this is pretty interesting. You can see it here on the screen. This is on Twitter. You can actually advertise a product on Twitter and get a purchase right on Twitter. So that you could buy that product without even leaving the Twitter interface. And that makes a lot of sense for the social media sites. They obviously want to keep the traffic on their site. So that's basically what they're doing, and that is a big trend, and we're going to see more of that. Facebook's now introducing the buy button on their site to try to get people to engage with businesses right in the Facebook interface. But what do you need to do about it? I actually recommend you don't do anything about this just yet. I really think it's too early. It's basically in a beta phase right now, and it really hasn't been adopted by consumers yet. So if you do have an e-commerce site, and this probably sounds pretty interesting to you, having buy buttons right on Facebook and Twitter. So I would definitely keep an eye on this in 2016. If consumers do pick this up and start using it more, this is definitely a trend that you'll want to jump on and actually launch these campaigns. But right now, especially if you are not doing any type of advertising, this is not where I would start advertising. I would use some of those tactics we talked about earlier. All right, trend number 7 is it's not necessarily a trend as much as I really want to emphasize that email is not dead, despite what people do believe is a trend. People think the trend is that email marketing is dead, but that's actually not the case. So I want to emphasize to everyone to not listen to the rumors. Don't listen to the media. Don't listen to your friends that are saying, nobody's using email. It doesn't work. No one's going to open your emails. Here's why. It's really, and this is from my experience with our business as well as doing this for clients, it really is the best tool for building relationships with prospects and customers. If you do this right, and of course, that's a big caveat, you do have to do email marketing correctly, but if you do it right, it's just the best way to build relationships and stay in touch with prospects and customers. And if you know anything about sales and marketing, it comes down to follow-up, and it's just a great tool for following up with your audience, staying top of mind, and just really being there when your prospect finally is ready to make that buying decision. Now here are a couple research, some research data here. This one's from Exact Target, where they found that customers actually prefer email versus all the other media out there. And one of the rumors is that social media is going to eclipse email, and people are just going to use social media. They're not going to use email anymore. But that really is just not the case. And when you survey people, what happens is people just prefer to receive promotional materials via email, and that's just what we're all used to. We don't want to get hit with promotional text messages and social media. We really want email. And just a recent stat here from Castora, they looked at all of the, not all, but a huge database in terms of number of sales, and they found that email drove more sales than any other channel during Black Friday 2015. I think it drove over a quarter of all sales. So it's a huge driver of sales. And I already mentioned it's a great tool for building strong relationships. So it works not only for e-commerce type businesses where you're directly making promotions in email, also works for professional services where you need to really nurture your prospects. You need to educate them. People love to receive emails with educational material. So that's really the power of emails, that follow-up, that nurturing, that education. So what do you need to do? If you're not using email, or even if you're using it but not using it consistently, you first want to sit down and brainstorm, what is it that your ideal prospects would want to receive from you on a consistent basis. So what would they actually want to read about? And some ideas here just to get the juices flowing. You could write down all of the frequently asked questions that you already know about. SAQs are should ask questions. So what should your prospects be asking, but maybe they're not? And then you can write educational articles about that. How-tos make a lot of sense if you can educate people on a different area of your product or service. They will then see you as the expert in the industry and be more likely to buy from you. You could also talk about mistakes to avoid. Next, you do want to set up email service provider, an ESP. Some common ones are Constant Contact, iContact, and Fusionsoft. Basically, those are going to store all of your contacts, allow you to segment based on who exactly those people are in your database, if they're customers or prospects, and then allow you to send broadcasts to everyone on your list very easily versus trying to do that manually from like a Gmail account. And then finally, you just need to commit to a schedule. This is the biggest objection I hear, is that people just don't have time, and maybe they start but then don't stay on top of the email marketing, so then it just kind of falls off. So you really do need to just set a schedule. If you're just getting started, I would go with monthly. It really doesn't take that much to send 12 emails in a year. So you should be able to do that and then slowly ramp up to maybe twice a month. And finally, the goal here obviously is to drive sales, but what you don't want to do, and I see a lot of businesses doing this, they'll just hammer their list with promotions. So it's just constantly, buy my stuff, here's a discount, buy my stuff. Obviously, when you're doing that, people are going to unsubscribe, tune you out. So what you want to do, the analogy I like to use is a bank account, and every time you send a promotion and ask for a sale, that's a withdrawal. So you're taking money out of your bank account, and if you keep doing that, you will have no money left. Everyone will unsubscribe. So what you also need to do is make deposits. And what that is basically just a helpful email. It's educational. It has maybe it's a how-to, talks about mistakes to avoid. So those are the deposits, and you don't ever want to send more promotions, more withdrawals than helpful emails, because then you'll drain your bank account and everyone would unsubscribe. So make sure you're at a minimum 1-to-1 in terms of helpful emails and promotional, and ideally you're actually sending more helpful emails to keep people engaged, keep them to actually want to read your emails. And if you do that, then when you do send that promotional email, they're more likely to actually open it up and be receptive to it. Okay, number 8, related to email marketing, money is still in your email list. So I just want to clarify this, because I think there's just, unfortunately, a lot of confusion around email marketing, and there's just a lot of businesses that are not taking advantage of this. And I'm hoping I'm getting through to everyone on the line here, but email marketing, just to make it even more clear, it's one of the only channels that you actually own and you are in full control over. And when you think about the other options out there, like let's say advertising, you do not actually own that and you don't control it. You're just renting. You have to pay a certain amount of money every month to get your ads displayed on those websites, which then drive leads and sales. If you stop paying, those you won't actually drive any leads and sales. So that's renting. And then in SEO, you're not actually paying every month for that placement, but you're not in full control. Google's in control, or the other search engines are actually in control. But email marketing, once you have folks in your email database, you're in complete control. You decide when to contact them, what to actually send to them, and if you want to run a promotion today or tomorrow, you can literally just write an email, click send, and have sales start coming in within minutes or hours. And I already mentioned this. The other kind of new aspect of email marketing is that these advertising outlets are now allowing you to upload your emails to then basically retarget folks via advertising. So not only is it important to get emails on your list for email marketing, but it also impacts your ad campaigns and allows you to generate even more leads and sales from those ad campaigns. Ultimately, the key to success is segmentation. I mentioned this already. That's one of the reasons you need an email service provider. You want to have different segments like prospects versus customers. That's kind of the basic segment. And then you can get a little bit more in depth in terms of segmenting on demographics, maybe location, and even interests. All right, so what do you need to do? To get people on your email list, I highly recommend everyone adds what are called freemiums to your website. And what that is just a free report, or if you have an e-commerce website, you can just simply add a coupon. I'm sure you've seen these. So you visit a website and you might get an offer right away for first-time visitors, a special coupon. All you have to do is enter an email address, click submit. Now you're in the email, subscriber database. So that's really the first step to collecting the email addresses. And one more point on this is that if you don't have a freemium, what's happening, roughly 98% of your visitors are coming to your site and they're just going to leave and most likely never return. And that's why this is also important to have some kind of freemium so that you can capture those visitors, get their contact information before they leave, and then you can follow up via email and follow up via the retargeting ads that we talked about before. So next, you get those folks to opt in using your freemium, and then you just send those contacts to your ESP. That's done automatically using the forms on your site. And then you obviously need to set up that schedule where you're going to follow up with email newsletters, again, at a minimum on a monthly basis, and then targeted email promotions to actually drive the leads and sales. All right, trend number 9 is about SEO, and it's unfortunately not just about SEO anymore. So SEO back in the day really started out, it was just about keywords on your pages. That's all you needed. You would just keyword stuff a page, and whatever keyword you wanted to rank for, you just put that keyword in the title of the page and throughout all the copy. And that was good enough. Then Google came on board and they started using links as a main signal. So those are really the two main factors. There's obviously a ton more to SEO, but that's what it used to be all about. It was about keywords, relevant keywords on your page, and getting links from other websites. And now it's much more about creating the best user experience. So not only do you need the keywords on your pages, and you also need links from other websites, but really it's much more than that. It's really about creating the best user experience, because that's what Google ultimately wants to rank high in the search results. So what that comes down to is really two key components. It comes down to providing the best content. So if you do a Google search and you look at who's ranking, you really need to have better content or better information on your website than who's already ranking, and you need to present it in the best layout. And we already mentioned how that's really important for mobile searches. That's one of the key signals. Google will actually look at the page layout, and if it's not rendering properly on a mobile, that's going to hurt your chances to rank in the results. So what do you need to do? Recommend everyone starts with the foundation. And I mentioned this before. You need an easy-to-use, responsive website. Make sure it's responsive to all the different devices. You need to have pages, individual pages for each of your core buying intent keywords. And by that I mean a classic example that I like to use is for a dentist. If someone is searching for New York City dentist, that's what I would call a buying intent keyword. There's no question that person is looking to schedule an appointment with a dentist. Whereas a lot of other keywords are what we call research intent keywords, and that would be something like how to get whiter teeth. Someone searching for how to get whiter teeth, not necessarily looking to schedule an appointment, they're looking more for information. So you want to have individual pages for all of your buying intent keywords. That's really step one. But you'll also want to target those research intent keywords, and you do that using a blog and or a resource center. And a resource center would just be an area on your website. I think McKay actually on their site, literally the top navigation says resources, and that's where they put all of their resource center type information, and that's great for getting ranked when people are searching for information. And second, it's not just about having that strong foundation. You now need to really promote your content, and what you can do to promote it is post that onto social media, get that in front of your audience on social media, as well as potential partners on social media that would then link to you. And then you also want to reach out and form relationships with relevant websites and get them to link to your website, link to your content, and those again, those links are still valuable. I don't want to confuse you and say that the the keywords on the pages and the links, those are still important, but it's really much more than that now. You need to take it a step further and make sure you're also promoting and creating really good content on your site. And finally, trend number 10, I mentioned this right at the beginning, the importance of tracking. So tracking is even more important. And why is that the case? So first of all, it's harder than ever because people are using multiple devices. So it's just technically more difficult to track when people, here's an example, let's say they search on a mobile phone, then they go on their tablet and do a little bit more research, and then they ultimately purchase on their desktop. That's just technically more difficult to track, to say, okay, I know that the search ads for mobile are driving sales. That type of analysis is very difficult because they used all those different devices in between the search and to the ultimate sale. And in addition to it being harder, competition online is just getting stronger and stronger every year. And the successful marketers, the businesses that are taking the lead across the board in all the different marketing channels are the ones that are focused on return on investment. And the only way to do that is to have proper tracking in place. So here's what you need to do. You need to first set up Google Analytics if you don't have that set up, and that will measure all of your different marketing channels to allow you to see which channels are driving leads and sales. Highly recommend you set up call tracking to monitor the phone calls. That's really important for businesses that are getting lots of phone calls and getting leads and sales from phone calls versus a strictly e-commerce type site. And I just want everyone to be aware of the limitations of tracking across devices. There are improvements in that area, or there have been improvements, and that's going to be another important trend in 2016 is just being able to better track across devices. But as of right now, that is still tricky, and you just need to be aware that people can be coming in on different devices and then ultimately converting on another device. So before we get to Q&A, I do want to give everyone a special gift here, the Marketing Action Plan for 2016. This is basically a step-by-step plan step-by-step guide to create your marketing plan for 2016. I'm also throwing in a free marketing consultation that's not normally included in the marketing action plan. So if you are interested in this, you will just need to, it's only $7 to get the plan as well as the free marketing consultation. And you would just email, once you get the action plan, just reply to that email and say that you attended this webinar, and we would give you that free consultation. So if you're interested, you can go to mainstreetroi.com/plan 2016, and that will be on the next screen as well. So with that, we'll open up to Q&A.
Awesome, and we've got a lot of questions. Let's do questions for about 5 minutes here and see how many we can get through. So the first question that most people are asking is this being recorded? Yes, it is. We'll make sure you have access to that recording. You can come to conversa.com, go to the resources page, as Phil mentioned, to see it. We'll have it posted either later today or tomorrow. Jeffrey asks, he says, it's clear you're an advocate for retargeting. Are there industries where retargeting is not appropriate because of privacy concerns, i.e. healthcare? That's an interesting question, something I haven't thought of before. Any thoughts on that, Phil?
Yes, networks will not allow you to, a lot of networks will not allow you to retarget, especially in healthcare. I should have mentioned that it's not appropriate for every type of business, especially healthcare or any industry where there's privacy concerns. For example, we actually had a client in the diabetes space, and we were not allowed to retarget and it makes sense because then by showing an ad that's something helpful for diabetes, is basically implies that you know that that person has diabetes, so it's a privacy concern.
Interesting. Okay, good stuff. Scott asked an interesting question. I think marketers have been asking themselves this for about 3 years now. Do you think social media, he asked, will pay out? In other words, meaning will it generate more in sales than what it costs? I think it depends on the social media and how you use it. At Conversa, we see great success with certain types of marketing on social media, and then massive failures on others. So it really depends in your industry, how you use it, and which type of social media you're talking about. Any additional thoughts on that, Phil?
Yeah, I would 100% agree with what you just said, McKay. For example, in our business, we obviously are a B2B business. LinkedIn is a huge opportunity for us, and does drive a lot of leads and sales if you do it correctly. Versus a site like Twitter, just for us, it hasn't really driven much of anything. So we're still trying to crack the code there with how to properly use a site like Twitter. So you really need to figure out what is the most appropriate social media network to use. That's kind of step one. Where's your audience hanging out? And then, like McKay said, it does depend on how you actually use that site. Are you just basically spamming it, or are you really trying to build up an audience and educate and nurture them? I would think of it more like similar to email marketing. If you can build up that audience, nurture them, it's a great way to follow up and stay top of mind. But it does require a lot of work, but it can pay out.
Awesome. All right, one more question here, and then we'll be done. Newsletters. Are newsletters dead? You talked a little bit about this, talked about email marketing a bit, which I thought was great. Are there benefits to newsletters anymore?
Yes. So yeah, to clarify, email marketing not being dead, I'm basically saying that every business should have some form of a newsletter. Now, with that said, don't expect to put an email newsletter sign up on your site and get anyone to opt in, and that's why it's so important to have that freemium or that free offer, whether it's a coupon or a free report, a white paper. Have something on your site that's more compelling and sexy than just sign up for my newsletter, so that you get them on your list, and then you're basically going to use the newsletter to follow up, to educate, stay top of mind. Yeah, I'm trying to think of that. There's nothing wrong with newsletter. I'm trying to think of the negative connotations there. And McKay, maybe you can touch on how you guys use it. But in our business, we use a newsletter. That's what we call it. But it's basically just an email that goes out with educational information, as well as sections in the email where if somebody's interested in hiring us, we have a section to capture their attention, sections for testimonials, sections for calling out anyone that wants to partner with us. Hopefully that clarified.
Yeah, no, I to just provide some additional stuff in closing. I agree totally. I think newsletters used to be based on news for the company, right? Like if you had hired a new person, you'd throw that in your newsletter or something. It's like, that's fine, but most people don't really care. What they care about is there something that's going to benefit me, and is it interesting? And so we do, basically, we send out an email once a month that has our most popular content from the previous month. So it's not hard for us to figure out what goes in there. It's literally the blog post with the most reads, the webinar with the most views, and that's what goes in our newsletter, because that's the most popular thing. And we've had a good response to it. So I think if you do it right and don't plan on it being this great lead gen tool, it's just kind of something to get stuff in front of your customers. It's not what your email marketing strategy should be based around, is my 2 cents. So, all right, Phil, thanks, man. That was a good hour. That was great.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. Hope everyone got a lot of value out of that.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of responses to it here, people giving you really positive feedback. So thanks for that, everybody. All right, and everyone, watch for the recording from us. We'll send that out in an email today or tomorrow. And then you can go to our website, conversa.com, and go to resources at the top to see this webinar. We encourage you to take Phil up on his offer here. And then also, if you go to conversa.com, you see a big button that says Start Free Trial. You can actually do a free trial of our product before you start to pay for it, which is awesome. So thanks again, everyone. Hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day. And Phil, thank you, sir.
Thank you.